And we're off. It is Monday, May 23rd, 2022 AD Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. And it's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. How y'all doing? Live on all platforms. Press 1 if it's working over here on Odyssey, people, please. Press 1 if it's working. Press 2 if you cannot hear me. Or 3 if it was okay and then it dropped. Gonna have a fun Monday show, I think. Law enforcement should shut down Tucker Carlson's lies. So says one former Fox News correspondent. More like faux news correspondent. Am I right? Black mothers. People are outraged on behalf of black mothers. Monkeypox has people concerned. And also, the great replacement theory is fake news. Don't fall for it. Oh, man, what a mess. All kinds of stuff going on in the world today. All of that and your calls, hopefully. You can call in. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. La la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. And, and it is Monday. Can you believe it? Monday. Everybody loves Monday. How was your weekend? Mine was great. I had a nice Saturday. I took the day off. I had a nice Sunday. I took the day off, but I exercised. And so if I seem a little bit distracted, my exercise might have been a little too... Oh, man. Maybe I shouldn't share that. I'll just leave that alone. But anyway, I'm trying to exercise. I'm remedial right now. I'm in remedial exercise mode. You know how my brain is pretty solid, right? I'm very smart. But my body is in remedial mode because I've neglected it for so many years. And I should leave that alone. Anyway, man, is it warm in here or is it just me? It's kind of warm. Let's turn on the AC, please. What's up, Facebook crew? Let's get right into this stuff. Let me see. Is this thing ready? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's ready yet. We have stuff going on. Oh, yeah, that one is ready. Okay. I was preparing some different clips here that I wanted to share with you if I'm able to get them ready. Ooh, nice. And I may just be able to share them with you. It's not a positive thing for sure yet, but there's some outrageous things by the mainstream media pushing the, saying that this white replacement theory thing is a lie. And it is a lie, guys. It is a lie. Just stop it. You're causing mass murders. Don't do it. Not anger. Anger doesn't cause mass murders. Anger is fine. Anger is natural. It's the whites. White supremacy is the primary threat to something. The homeland today, says Sleepy Joe Biden. Man, what a mess. Ugh. Okay. You know what? First, before I get started, though, let me get to a call. Steve in New York City is on the line. Steve, how are you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing, Hake, bro?
Doing okay. Thank you.
Yo, you notice how a few weeks ago they mentioned monkeypox,
Yeah.
and then today they have the first case of monkeypox,
Yeah.
and it's all over the news, all over nationwide. All the local news stations decided to make that their priority.
Right.
But I want to tell you something. The number of typhoid cases in the United States are 11.
11 typhoid cases.
11 typhoid cases. Tuberculosis. There's about a dozen or two tuberculosis cases. There is smallpox cases. Any disease that you could ever think of are happening now.
Oh, really?
Why are they mentioning that one case of monkeypox? The one.
I don't know.
When I was in high school, back in the 1980s, I had to subscribe to the MMWR, and that is the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report from the CDC. I had to do that for a class, and they would break down where all these and I kept on getting it when AIDS started coming out, and they didn't track the AIDS virus in the same way they tracked all the other viruses. But there was typhoid, there was all these other, there was tuberculosis, there was chickenpox and smallpox and all these other diseases. I could not, polio. There are cases right now of polio in the United States.
Really?
Oh yeah. I bet you can just look it up and Google it and everything. They're all over the place.
So are you saying that it's for? Are you saying that they're just cherry picking this disease?
Yeah,
propaganda?
because it's going to be the new scare. It's going to be the new scare. Monkeypox is going to be the new scare. And the Chinese virus, they only cherry pick that. And notice how the deaths from flu disappear. The deaths from pneumonia disappeared. And now the number of cases of the Chinese virus is the former number of the flu and the pneumonia plus other things combined.
Is that a fact?
Absolutely. Look how many cases, 60 to 120,000 people die every year from flu. 60,000 to 120,000 people die every year from the flu.
Okay.
The largest number of deaths from the flu was in 1968. The next highest was 80,000 in 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know how many people died of the flu in the past 2 years? Less than 2,000. Because those numbers were shifted to the Chinese virus. Pneumonia cases, 50 to 80,000 people die every year of pneumonia. No more. They were shifted to the Chinese virus. And we wonder why.
Where'd you find that info that other people could look it up independently?
John Hopkins University study. You could just, I know in 2012, a coworker of mine, her daughter died. Her daughter of 30 years old.
Did you independently
died.
look this up, or did you hear it from somebody else?
I independently looked it up. John Hopkins University study every year. There are graphs. There's even a graph at John Hopkins University where it shows the number of deaths due to heart attacks, and then it's a sine curve. It's a sine curve. But in March 2020...
A sine curve, as in I mean it goes up and down? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's a very, the number of deaths due to heart attacks is like a sine wave. It is. You know, it goes up and down during, courses of years. Every year it's, it just goes up and down based on, whatever.
Right.
But in March 2020, there was a sharp drop. There was a sharp drop in the number of heart attacks. Those were the heart attacks that they took and they put it as coronavirus.
Who's they?
The CDC or this is all a fake. It's all a fake, 100% pure fake. And now they're going to prop up monkeypox, do the same.
But now you're putting my channel at risk by saying it's all fake.
Oh. Well,
I don't. And how am I supposed to know that it's fake?
Call me a wacko and hang up on me.
Well, I mean, you want to be sure that you know for sure what you're talking about. That's one thing, for sure.
I'll send you an email of the heart attack graph per year, and then you'll see March 2020 sharp decline down, never before happened.
Huh. I mean, they did shut down the country in March of 2020. That's when they said, we need to do 15 days to slow the spread, was what Trump said. And so a lot of people stopped working, and when they stopped working, it could be that, I don't know.
It's there's 50 stores in my neighborhood closed down for good.
Because the explanation that they give for the flu going down is that everybody was shut down, nobody interacted with each other, everybody was wearing the masks. I mean, a lot of people in the cities anyway were forced to wear the masks. And so because of the shutdowns, people weren't they weren't exchanging germs as normal. So they put off they claim that they put off the, my back, the inevitable, they delayed the inevitable, meaning the getting sick.
They're the saviors, yeah.
But
yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't think I still disagree with them on that. I think that it was unwise to shut the country down because you're supposed to be interacting with germs. Babies are not supposed to be raised in a perfectly sterile environment. They're supposed to be exposed to germs. So you exercise to a point your immune system, so it gets tougher. No pain,
I'm going
no
to
gain
tell you
type
one
of a thing.
fact. I'm going to tell you one fact that people don't realize. The reason why you and me and everybody listening and everybody you see, the reason why we are all alive today is because our great-great-grandparents, all of them, did not have antibacterial soap. They did not have hand sanitizer.
Uh-huh.
They didn't have toilet paper. They probably didn't have running water. That's the reason why we're all living today. They drank out of ponds and they barely took a bath.
So they toughened up their immune system, and that's why we're alive. That's why they survived to give birth to us.
Because nobody. Jesus didn't have hand sanitizer. Sorry to say.
Yeah, he spit in dirt and made mud and put it on the blind man's eyes to make him function again.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The reason we are still alive today is because nobody had hand sanitizer, antibacterial soap. We didn't have, we didn't have any of that stuff.
Right.
We barely had toilet paper. Toilet paper was invented less than 100 years ago. No,
Gross.
about 180 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's an interesting take. I really don't know what the truth is regarding all of this stuff. Somebody said, Jay Hess, I think, said, drop the pretext, James. But it's not what do you mean pretext? What's a pretext? it's a reality that my channel is at risk when I propagandize the stuff that you're not supposed to be saying. That's a fact.
Yeah,
It's
I
not a
know.
pretext. And I don't pretend to know. Like, to me, I don't think it's wise to say one thing or the other if you're not sure.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. I
Anyway.
don't know about this monkeypox thing. I look at the pictures. I'm like, ooh, I don't want that. I see these little black kids with these blister things on all over their body, kind of like chicken pox, but bigger and nasty.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy.
We'll see how it plays out. But I think it's going to be the next China virus. And we're going to lock down everybody. You know?
We'll see.
Anyway.
We will see. I appreciate it, Steve. It's good to hear from you, man.
I hope to God it ain't happening, Hank.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
All right. You as well.
Bye.
Bye. Let me tell you a little bit about what the far-left female run outlet, The Skim, is saying about this monkeypox thing. What's got people concerned? Man. Monkeypox. Over the weekend, the World Health Organization, WHO, said it confirmed over 90 cases of monkeypox in 12 countries: Spain, UK, Portugal, US, and I guess 8 others. The rare disease is in the same family as smallpox, but typically less severe. Smallpox is what was on the blankets that we gave the Indians in that myth. Isn't it a myth that we gave them smallpox blankets, at least on purpose? Or was it the truth? You know, when the American Indians, we gave them blankets, but it had smallpox in them, and it was biological warfare or something like that. And then some people say it was true. Other people said it was false. Other people said that we just sneezed and our regular colds and flus and diseases, hay fever, messed with the American Indians. I don't know. But anyway, smallpox was deadly back in the day, and we got rid of it. And monkeypox, I heard, is like started around in Africa somewhere, right? Supposedly, different strains reportedly have varying death rates between 1% and 10% death rates. And, you know, it kind of depends on if it's treated or not, too, I think. Because in parts of Africa, 1 in 10 people die who get this smallpox thing, supposedly. In certain areas, depending on the strain, right? Supposedly. The virus is transmitted to humans from animals and from other humans, right? Spreads from one person to another by close contact with lesions, body fluids. Some people were calling it a gay disease. I chuckle. I don't know. Respiratory droplets. Other people said, no, that's fake news. Even contaminated materials like bedding. The disease usually begins with flu-like symptoms: fevers, headaches, muscle aches, chills, exhaustion. Within a few days, a rash develops on the face and spreads to the rest of the body, lasting for about 2 to 4 weeks. International response. The World Health Organization is the evil UN, by the way. WHO says the response should focus on people affected and their close contacts. Spreads mostly through sexual partners. See? Hey! And by the way, speaking of Africa, didn't AIDS start in Africa, like from a monkey or something like that? That's what I thought that I remember hearing. And now it is, by and large, disproportionately affecting the radical homosexuals, right? Or the homosexuals, so-called. U.S. health officials have said monkeypox poses no public health risk. So they're downplaying the risk, contrary to what Steve in New York City says, because he says that they're trying to upplay it. So probably there's a battle going on. Sleepy President Biden is singing a different tune, calling the spread a cause for concern. Yeah, it's a concern. But says a quarantine likely won't be required. They assured the public, his administration did, that the U.S. has a vaccine, 85% effective in treating. That's a smallpox vaccine, right? Or no, is that a different one from the smallpox? They use smallpox to protect people from this. Treating and preventing the spread of the virus. But watch who you're hanging out with. Right? Crazy. Anyway, I put in a couple of videos that I'd like to play. This is on the what's going on with the replacement theory, all that nonsense. Might be a little bit of old news for you because this is based on that Buffalo shooting. The Buffalo shooting at the grocery store, allegedly by that 18-year-old white male, Gendron, whatever his name was. This is from Yahoo News, and it caught my eye. It was pushed at me, and it's actually Business Insider, reshared by Yahoo News, which I learned from the based Bill O'Reilly, that it is far left. Enemies of America, Yahoo News. Oh, the video didn't work. Okay. I'm going to have to, perhaps I can re-download it. I don't know. Let me drag in these copies, see if they're any better. Let me know if either of those copies work, 11 and 12. But regardless, a former Fox correspondent says that police will have to start monitoring Fox News to prevent Tucker Carlson from lying on air. What? Isn't that wild? Former Fox correspondent. And this is from Yelena Dzhanova. Dzhanova. Nice American name, I guess. Business Insider writer, woman. File still didn't work? Oh, it's working now? Okay, cool. Fox's former chief political correspondent said law enforcement will eventually have to step in to stop the lying coming from places like Fox News, Faux News, and Tucker Carlson. Carl Cameron. And this guy, I had no idea he was this liberal. Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to play clip 12, actually. This is kind of long. I may call it white erasure, not replacement theory, or great replacement, says Julie Storm. Yeah, fair point. It is a crazy attack upon the whites. And it's ridiculous. Carl Cameron. Okay, so I'm going to play this clip. This is from CNN. It's Jim Acosta. You know, the guy who tried to confront the based Jewish guy, Stephen Miller from the Trump administration about, well, this Statue of Liberty has that plaque on it that says, give us your poor, your huddled masses. That's what should be our immigration policy, right? The Statue of Liberty that was given to us by a Frenchman, or the French, which that's nice. And then some artist put this plaque on there, or poet or whatever. They put this plaque on there from some poet added later. And that's supposed to be our immigration policy. Not the one that was instituted by the founding fathers times, like in this late 1700s, I think it was, like white men of good character, white Europeans of good character, something like that. That's what our immigration policy was. Anyway, listen to this. Listen to this hit piece against Tucker Carlson and the people who are pointing out kind of the obvious of what's happening. Every white country is getting very, very diverse because we are so accepting and we like food or something like that. Anyway, listen to this mess. It's about 8 minutes long. I may interrupt it and stop it, but whatever. Here it is.
Fox's Tucker Carlson is trying to distance himself from a white supremacist conspiracy theory he's peddled on his show for years.
You've heard a lot about the great replacement theory recently. It's everywhere in the last 2 days, and we're still not sure exactly what it is.
The issue arose in the wake of last weekend's deadly mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, because of a 180-page racist rant posted by the alleged gunman. In it, he references the Great Replacement Theory, or the idea that there's a nefarious effort to replace white Americans with non-white Americans for political gain. It's nonsense, of course, peddled by white supremacists on the internet. Carlson has mainstreamed this garbage, though, and while Tucker now claims he has no idea what it is, which is not, of course, true, he's pushed the concept more than 400 times on a show in recent years, and here's just a very small sampling.
I know that the left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement, if you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. But they become hysterical because that's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it, that's true. We've never seen demographic change like this. It's roughly the equivalent of a brand new city of Chicago every year. A city populated entirely by poor people with limited education who can't speak English. And the question is, how is it good for America?
Facts.
Joining us now is Carl Cameron, founder of FrontPageLive.com and a former Fox News chief political correspondent who decided to leave Fox after 22 years, in part because of people like Tucker Carlson. Carl, my old campaign colleague, great to see you. Do you think the Murdoch family in charge of Fox will ever pull the plug on Tucker? What do you think?
Remember this guy? Listen to this guy.
There is a point at which it becomes difficult for an executive to put up with the help. In this particular case, Tucker has been screaming fire in a crowded movie house for years. And that cliche really comes to the matter of what is free speech. And the fact of the matter is, if you disturb the peace by starting a riot in a movie theater, cops are going to arrest you and you might end up in jail, or you might end up in something worse. And that kind of stuff absolutely has to stop, whether it's the antitrust bill to take down and deplatform people who lie and put out falsehoods that cause damage and violent hate. There ought to be something done about it. And the administration is beginning to actually make a move on that. And it's been way overdue. It's not just Fox, it's social media in general. It's on the internet. And we have to remember that a good portion of what people read is coming from folks who aren't Americans, pretending to be Americans in order to gaslight them even worse. And it's great to see you, Jim. We did mark a lot of miles together.
We certainly did. My goodness, and have a lot of stories to tell. Maybe we'll tell those stories one of these days. But Carl, let me ask you, because
these guys are not American.
This, I think, dovetails right into my next question, because you and I have covered a number of CPAC conferences over the years, Conservative Political Action Conference, and now they're gathered in Hungary, of all places, and invited the Prime Minister and longtime Putin ally Viktor Orban to be the featured speaker. And according to The Guardian, among the things Orban said in his speech, that shows like Tucker Carlson should be broadcast 24/7. Let's listen.
Of course, the Grand Old Party has associates in the media, associated media, but they do not compete with the dominance of the liberal press. Only my friend Tucker Carlson places himself on the line without wavering. His new program is the most watched. What does it mean? It means that programs like his should run day and night. As you say, 24/7.
This is not your father's CPAC. I mean, this is weird stuff, Carl. What do you make of it?
It's horrifying. This is the kind of nonsense that we expect in Eastern European countries that were blasted by the Soviet Union for years and years and years. And Orban is a classic sort of an autocratic fascist. And people like Tucker Carlson are participating in spreading that in the United States. There is no place for it. It has to be stopped. The idea of replacement theory is ridiculous. It's a made-up thing. And the fact that there are changes in our demography has always been positive in this country. There was a time when Italians were being racially threatened and damaged just because they were Italians or they were Catholics. That stopped. The same has to stop for Latinos. The same has to stop for Asians and Black Americans. It has been far too long that this country has been letting this go. And now that Republicans, led by Trump for the last few years, are trying to say that that's American politics, it absolutely isn't. And those who pretend to do this are hurting the Constitution and hurting our country. And they're going to pay for it sooner or later.
And Carl, you make such a great point, and it is, it is such a strength of this country, the diversity, this multicultural tapestry that we've all enjoyed for so many years. And you're right, this country just becomes that more perfect union as we grow and welcome
So
all of these
united.
new folks into our country year after year. And I just wonder, as we're talking about this, what do you say, because I hear this myself, what do you say to folks who say, oh, you shouldn't talk about Tucker Carlson, you shouldn't talk about this white replacement theory, don't even mention what's going on at CPAC? What do you say to folks who just, I think of it as sticking your head in the sand a little bit. What is your reaction when you hear that from folks?
Well, it's unfortunate. I understand it. Between the pandemic and the politics, there's a lot of things people don't want to think about. The reality about this, however, is this is a free country. And if people of goodwill, the likes of which are in all races, all various different creeds, if we followed what the founders did and never really did right, then we can maintain a democratic republic. At this point, we have a huge portion of the population, led by Republicans and Donald Trump exclusively. We are going down a very, very dangerous road where in other parts of the world, civil rights and civility in general has been decimated by the kind of stuff that's being perpetuated. And it's got to stop. Democrats have to kick it in. The president has to be more forceful. And sooner or later, the law enforcement and the U.S. government is going to have to stop the lying because it's causing people's deaths.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's spot on. And I, if the worst were to happen, do you want to say, well, I wanted to play it safe. I really didn't want to get into this. I didn't want to speak out against it. And so, how would you be able to live with yourself? I think that's the choice that we all face.
Not just in our own neighborhoods, Jim, but around the world. There has been years where the United States was revered by tons of countries who aspired to the type of society that we had. Now they're watching us deal with the kind of nonsense they've been fighting, in some cases, for a century.
You're absolutely right. And Carl, and you and I both know from our travels, when we do travel outside of the Beltway, we do talk to people in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. This is what people ask us all the time. What is happening inside the United States? Please, do something about it. Carl Cameron, let's have you back sometime. Great to catch up with you, old buddy. And thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tim.
What a
Still looks like a young man there. Carl Cameron. All right, appreciate it.
He said he looks like a young man there. I don't know if Carl Cameron has ever looked like a young man. For the audio podcast listeners who couldn't see this guy's face, he always kind of looked kind of old to me with his saggy, sleepy eyes. At least he's slim, gaunt, if you will. He tried to accuse Tucker Carlson of starting a riot by yelling fire in a crowded theater. Doesn't the mainstream media? I blame the mainstream media for these types of attacks happening, such as the Dylan Roof attack over in I forget which town that was, one of the Carolinas, at the church, the black church. I blame this mainstream media in part, right? In part, of course. You blame the individual who did it, and the failure of the parents and stuff like that. And I blame I don't know, just the establishment itself has pushed this endless attack upon the whites. And some of the whites come to and they're like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. And then they get angry about it. And because they're misguided, they lash out. And speaking of riots being started by the mainstream media, you ever heard of Black Lives Matter? That's starting a riot based on disinformation. And killing people, killing cops, killing whites, killing other blacks. Murder has been on the rise since Black Lives Matter was validated by the mainstream media. The fake idea of racism being validated by the mainstream media. That's starting a riot. And replacement theory is ridiculous. We've become such a more perfect union over the years. Yeah, right. In what sense? We've only become more divided and hateful. And I've heard that crime is at record levels, perhaps even surpassing the 90s, but it's, they're trying to suppress the real information. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard people say it. Let me read a few super chats before I get to more on this mess. The debunking of the white replacement theory. Let me read from Asmodor over here on Odyssey. A couple of super chats. The "Give me your tired, your poor, your wretched refuse" on the Statue of Liberty was written by a Jewish immigrant and activist, Emma, a female, Lazarus. Emma Lazarus. Lazarus, come out. The concept of a melting pot, as opposed to a, I don't want to say it. When I was in high school, we were considered, I don't want to say it, like a salad. But now it's become like a vulgar term. But we were considered a salad where we're very diverse. Oh, no. They try to say we're a melting pot because people are supposed to assimilate. But then they add to the flavor of the soup of the country. So then they changed the country too. Anyway, the concept of a melting pot, but then when I was in high school, I had this communist professor for government history, government and economics. And he said, we're more of a salad. And he said tossed salad, but don't think the dirty one version. Yes, tossed salad. But yeah, because we're supposed to stay diverse, be diverse and stay diverse. And it makes a nice salad, flavorful, as opposed to a melting pot. And if you think about it, that's kind of, anyway, what a mess. Not a good thing. In fact, it is kind of vulgar, even in every sense, to be honest, because this diversity stuff is not a strength. Because these people don't really have our values. They'll vote away the freedom of speech, the gun rights, the right to carry guns and own them. They'll vote in so-called progressives and communists and evil people. And then, of course, we got the rhinos, too, are getting ever worse. What a mess, huh? Terrible. The concept of... Anyway, I interrupted Asmodor's super chat. He said the concept of a melting pot was created by a Jewish immigrant, Israel Zanguil, in his late 19th century play, The Melting Pot. Wow. So these are unchristian concepts. Give me your poor, your wretched refuse. Did it say wretched refuse? Really? Huddled masses. Anyway. Wretched refuse means like trash. Asmodor also clarifies, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater is not law. It was an example in the U.S. versus Schenck, decided poorly by Oliver Wendell Holmes's court, Supreme Court, I think, in 1917. The Supreme Court overturned this decision and its restriction of speech in Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969. Wow. So it's been a common phrase, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. Anyone using you can't shout fire in a crowded theater as a way to claim certain speech is illegal are either an ignoramus or liars, says Asmodor over there on Odyssey. Interesting. So it was a bad decision that was overturned. Yeah. Oliver Wendell Holmes's court, 1917, in U.S. versus Schenck. The Supreme Court overturned that very decision and its restriction of speech in Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969. Wow. So they're using this stuff that's supposed to be common knowledge. I guess you should challenge what you're told. Huh. But I sort of agree with Trump that we should bring back libel laws and slander laws so that we can hold these people responsible. Defamation cases against the mainstream media. Think about how they defamed George Zimmerman. To this day, they're saying Trayvon Martin was murdered. He was not murdered. He was killed in self-defense. And you have to assume that if you're a person of goodwill. But no, they want to just say he was murdered. It's a false smear upon George Zimmerman. And to this day, they're saying, oh, this Black Lives Matter thing. It's a whole... That's the real disinformation, not this white replacement theory mess. So wrong. So wrong. Tucker Carlson is like one of the few people telling the truth about what's going on in the world. And they're going after him. Shows you where they're coming from. Let me read some more super chats, guys. Based America First, with a few super chats on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. California's Diablo Canyon 2.2 GW nuclear power plant has been producing electricity at 6 cents per kilowatt hour since 1986 and continues to pass regular safety and seismic evaluations. Yet green energy politics is forcing PG&E to shut it down by 2025. Wow, what a shame. Yeah, I've heard guys like Scott Adams and others. Scott Adams is this, what do you call him, a center-left guy, kind of a pro-Trump guy, the former Dilbert, or to this day he's a Dilbert cartoonist. He's been on The Fallen State and on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, talking about nuclear energy. It's green. Anyway, Base America First goes on. This will result in continuous rolling blackouts, the loss of 1,500 jobs, and increased electricity fees, which will hurt jobs even further. Newsom has applied for the federal civil nuclear credit set aside to keep nuclear power plants operating that are otherwise facing shutdown. See, even Gavin Newsom knows this is a bad idea, and Gavin Newsom is a beta governor who does not have the best interests at heart, but even he's applied to keep it going, right? To keep it going. Diablo Canyon is owned and operated by PG&E, and Newsom has no direct authority over it, but applied for the grant anyway. Will the money actually be used to keep the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant running? The Biden administration recognizes nuclear power as green energy, but continues to push solar and wind that are less reliable, have shorter useful lifespans, and create huge waste in their disposal. Disposed electric car batteries are a big problem too, says Based America First. Man, yeah, if it's a properly run nuclear power plant, it can be very good, I hear. Very useful, very powerful. You can't top nuclear, I hear. I'm shaking my head. These people don't have, the scam. It seems like a scam to me. Yeah, I know that every now and then a poorly run nuclear thing will have a catastrophic meltdown or whatever, right? But that has to do with poor running of things. And poor running of things is growing to be a bigger and bigger problem. Thanks, diversity, I say. And thanks, decline of morals is also linked to decline of responsibility. Decline of quality of the worker. It's a fact. And worker not in the communist way, but worker in the actual person who actually does work. Crazy. Another super chat from Geronimo. What's up, Geronimo? By the way, I have a t-shirt that Geronimo sent, I think. May 22nd to May 28th, control over America's so-called healthcare system, and with it, U.S. sovereignty, will be delivered for a vote to the World Health Organizations, that's the evil UN's corrupt World Health Organizations, governing legislative body, the World Health Assembly, handing over the nation's control to the globalists in time for the next plandemic, she calls it. Really? Really? Doesn't Congress have to vote on something like that? Interesting. Well, thank you for the heads up on that. Crazy. Let me show you something that Geronimo sent to me. Can I show this, Geronimo? Well, I'm just going to show it. It's cool. I got a t-shirt from a listener that is in the very font that I use. Wow. Impressive, Geronimo. It says, do I have the picture of the t-shirt that Jesse's holding? I didn't put it in the folder? Oh, darn. Okay. I'll find it and put it in the folder. I'll have to show it to you later. But it has to do with one of the sayings that I frequently will say. So that's cool. Oh yeah, I didn't put it in there. What a mess. I was looking at going back to this replacement theory stuff, I was looking at TKR Official on Telegram. I follow TKR Official. I follow JLP Talk. I follow the Hake Report on Telegram. That's me. That's mine, anyway. And some others. Real Vincent James, I think is what it is. And others. Telegram. And I saw this headline from Vox.com. Let me drag it into the folder. I'm dragging it into the folder. Replacement theory. See if it'll go. Okay, replacement theory, according to Vox.com. Vox is not to be confused with Vox Day. Totally different entities. Vox Day is a alt-right guy, Christian guy, and Vox.com is far-left enemies of America. And this this headline from May 17th, 2022, after the mass shooting, right? Vox.com, where replacement theory comes from and why it refuses to go away. The subtitle reads, White Supremacist Conspiracy Theory has a long history in the United States and abroad. By Fabiola Cineas. And then go back 7 years to 2015. Another headline from the very same website, Vox. Here's when you can expect racial minorities to be the majority in each state of the United States, presumably. By Janae Desmond-Harris. Wow. So, 7 years ago, they're saying whites are being replaced. 7 years later, just last week, they're saying it's a white supremacist conspiracy theory. So are Vox white supremacists? They think whites are superior? And is that why they want to get rid of the whites? Because the whites don't go along with their mess as a majority? Lisa says, whites still comprise over 70% of the U.S. population. Our replacement won't happen for generations. I don't think that's true. I don't think all of that's true. Who knows? One cannot predict the future, or some people maybe can project pretty good guess at what's going on. But those aren't all normal whites, Lisa. You're an expert on medical stuff. You may not be an expert on what whites are. I am the expert on what whites are. Are Italians white? I keep on asking the question. Speaking of the Italians who were brought up by Jim Acosta and his dead-eyed buddy, sleepy eyelids, Carl Cameron. Because those include Hispanic whites. If you count non-Hispanic whites, it's supposedly 63%. Some say even less. So anyway, Lisa says, okay, Hake, haha. All right, so let me play a little bit more propaganda in the last 10 minutes here before the top of the hour. Let me play some more propaganda for you. This is from Yahoo News / Business Insider, clip 11. Here's more anti-Fox News, faux news propaganda from this. Is he a light-skinned black guy, or did they lighten him up? Is he really actually black? He has this African-sounding last name. Railing against Fox News, Tucker Carlson, using Media Matters as an expert. Media Matters. There's this liberal woman who's maybe an Italian or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe Hispanic. Media Matters are far-left enemies of America who hate Christians and whites. But anyway, here's this guy going after... here's this guy going after Fox News. Business Insider. Did you realize that Business Insider are enemies of you? Here it is. Listen to this.
Ever since Fox News started in 1996, they have been on one.
And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white.
Poor families in America have. 99% of them have a refrigerator.
A fist bump, a pound, a terrorist fist jab.
Recently, though,
Obama.
Fox News opinion programs have been accused of something far more sinister.
What's that last name?
How precisely is diversity our strength? Can you think, for example, of other institutions, such as, marriage or military units, in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are.
Diversity of the kind we're all supposed to be celebrating, whether it's religious or racial or linguistic or cultural, all of that, they are sources of tension and conflict.
That's Jared Taylor, a popular white supremacist. If you're asking why in the world does Tucker Carlson sound like that guy, you are not alone. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Fox News opinion programs have been echoing white supremacist talking points to their millions of viewers. Oh no, wait, that's exactly what I'm saying. Here's how they do it. By now, we all know what racism is. It's racist to assume that I'm good at basketball. It's true, but it's racist. White supremacists have a specific purpose, though. They believe in policies that will lead them to the ultimate goal, a whites-only society. That's because they believe that white people are inherently superior to other races and therefore shouldn't coexist with them. However, that goal is threatened by what they call the Great Replacement. The Great Replacement is a white supremacist theory that says white populations around the world are being maliciously marginalized and replaced by people of color. In reality, we just want you to season your food a bit, but... The Great Replacement is the framework through which Fox News opinion programs parrot white supremacy.
It's an ideology that is deployed with a lot of fear.
Christina Lopez is the Deputy Director of Extremism at Media Matters.
There's a lot of fear and victimization behind it. You know, they convince audiences that every non-white population is a risk. But you see it a lot in Fox News and primetime, specifically with anti-immigrant segments.
The America that we know and love doesn't exist anymore. Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people. And they're changes that none of us ever voted for and most of us don't like.
Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want.
Put out welcome wagons, pile them high, because we're just going to consign tens of thousands, perhaps millions of Americans to their deaths.
This Great Replacement rhetoric is effective at fueling anxieties that Americans already have. If you're concerned about the economy, the job market, or healthcare coverage, the Great Replacement theory provides you with someone to blame.
This has been incredibly successful with fear-mongers, right? You'll see Tucker Carlson talking about how, this town doesn't look the same as it used to look.
In the year 2000, Hazleton was less than 2% Hispanic. Today, thanks to mass immigration, Hazleton is majority Hispanic.
When it comes to Great Replacement rhetoric, Tucker Carlson has faced scrutiny before. In August 2018, Tucker said that the South African government was seizing lands from white farmers because they were white.
That is literally the definition of racism.
It's a talking point that until then lived only on extremely partisan platforms on the internet. Users on white supremacist platforms like Stormfront said South Africa was committing, quote, white genocide. In an investigation, the BBC found no proof that farmers were being killed at a higher rate than average citizens. And homicides where farmers were the victims were at a 19-year low. However, soon after Tucker's segment, the President of the United States tweeted that he was ordering Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to investigate these claims. He even tagged Tucker Carlson in the tweet. Erroneous white supremacist rhetoric, echoed by Fox News, made it to the ear of the President of the United States, influencing him to make it part of our government's day job. Can you hear me? To truly understand what's at stake here, there's one more place that the Great Replacement rhetoric is common. In October 2018, a mass shooting occurred at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Just before the attack, the shooter condemned a Jewish-run refugee charity, claiming that they bring in invaders that kill our people, which echoes a common Great Replacement narrative. In March 2019, another mass shooting occurred at 2 mosques in New Zealand, killing 49 people. Before that attack, the shooter wrote a manifesto. Its title, The Great Replacement. Fox News did not influence these attacks, but it's concerning that rhetoric associated with extremist concepts like the Great Replacement can be heard on air. I reached out to Fox News with my argument, and they provided me with 2 statements. We will not allow voices like Laura Ingraham, Lou Dobbs, or Tucker Carlson to be censored by agenda-driven intimidation efforts from the intolerant partisan activists like Media Matters, whose only goal is to silence conservative thought they don't agree with. And through a spokesperson, Laura Ingraham said, "My comments were based on research published in the Washington Post on immigration and America's changing demographics. Attempts by left-wing media outlets to attribute nefarious motives to my remarks speaks to their intolerance and bias, not mine." Again, the only thing I'm intolerant of is unseasoned food, but at the end of the day, the language we use can have a lasting impact on those on the receiving end of it. It cannot be the case that this kind of rhetoric has this much influence.
I don't know what he means by that, but that's trash from Business Insider, and you called Jared Taylor a white supremacist. Jared Taylor is a white advocate. He's not even a white nationalist. At least he doesn't use that term. He calls himself a white advocate, but they want to call him a white supremacist. In reality, we just want you to season your food more, says this guy with this affirmative action hire, I argue. That makes me want to spit. Unseasoned chicken is fine, actually. It's fine. At least I think it is. Maybe it is seasoned anyway, but it's not heavily seasoned. Christina Lopez on the extremism for Media Matters. Chris, you want to comment on this? Let's get Chris in here to comment on this in our last few minutes of this first hour, guys.
Yeah, I just want to start with the anti-white slur of the unseasoned food. Yeah. I will not stand by these racist, frankly, remarks. It's very, they're so condescending. Yeah. You know, they have their position and, you know, they can make these little jabs. It's pretty funny. But yeah, when you watch something like that, you know, I try not to get too frustrated about it, but it's just, they have so much influence with the media. Yeah. They can just spin the narrative and like what they say is gospel. When it's just pretty simple. You can just look at facts on the ground. Right. Like great replacement theory. Like there's no theory about it. I look at the demographics from the 60s to now. Right. It's not the same. I don't know what
pretty staggering
theory
actually.
But I will say this though. Given that this last shooting was basically, I mean, an ace in the hole for them. Yeah. Just on a silver platter. You've got a guy using all the rhetoric, a young white man, kills mostly black people, like said he targeted them. Yeah. Like, I mean, just all that stuff.
According to the reports.
Yeah, according to the report, if it's all true. But, yeah. I mean, let's just, for the sake of argument, that happened. They have overplayed their hand, and I would say generally speaking, the general public is not really falling for it, because I think there would have been, maybe they were sort of planning something else, but I would say shortly after all that happened, one, they disbanded that Ministry of Truth. Right. I don't remember what they were.
The Disinformation Board.
Yeah,
in the Biden administration. Wow.
Yeah. So right after a shooting, of a white guy who kills black people, they disband.
Good point.
The Ministry of Truth. They would only be doing something like that again if they were.
That would have emboldened it. If anything.
Exactly. That would have gotten them more money.
Yeah, more legitimacy.
Funnel to them, more legitimacy. So it kind of shows that they're sort of being forced to go back to the drawing board to spread more lies, basically. So in the short term, I will say it's I'll take a W when I can take a W. So but yeah, those you see those little videos, and they try to spin certain things about, white replacement, and like, oh, it's a theory, and it's kooky, and only white supremacists use it.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And those videos, they just crack me up, because I mean, it's just from my perspective, being like so much into it. I can just see it. It's just clear as day now. But again, it's a nice white pill to see that even somebody who's just kind of a casual listener, or somebody who's just kind of not paying attention to politics or what have you, they're sort of seeing through this facade, the fake news that they're trying to spread.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
That is. There's another fake news push that I've been promoting a little bit as a losing argument is, the Amber Heard thing. Mm-hmm. It seems like, in general, most people are not falling for this, Amber Heard is a victim. But the mainstream media, I've seen article after article. I don't pay attention to everything, but I've seen multiple headlines trying to cast her as a victim. And no, these Johnny Depp fans are just trolls. And poor Amber Heard, she spoke out, and now they hate her for speaking out about her victimhood. Mm-hmm. And people aren't really falling for it. And that's kind of another white pill, if you will, because it's nice to see that, no, it's quite clear that Johnny Depp, and I'm no fan of Johnny Depp, really, is, I just hate women.
Right, absolutely.
That people can see that, oh no, women are evil.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's good to see, some fairness, because they, from their point of view, it's been nothing. What they present is a point of view that throughout history, men can do whatever they want, and women have been the victim of that.
Right.
And it's
same thing with whites against blacks.
Yeah, and exactly. And then they'll say that's what we're saying, where we're just basically saying, like, well, let's look at it objectively, and we'll, suss out a fair assessment of what we're dealing with. Because, I mean, if like a guy commits a crime, okay, jail, whatever the consequences are, I'm not against punishing people for committing crimes.
Yeah. But in fact, we're the most, whites in general and men in general are the most pro-actual justice people in the country and the world, seemingly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're orderly. We have a
self-policing.
Yeah,
conservatives are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have the most sort of, reality-based sense of fairness.
Yeah.
Out there. So yeah, that absolutely is another white pill. That sort of example that we are not falling for the exaggerations anymore.
Right.
When they just
no matter how propped up they are.
Yeah, when they go into hysterics, we're not falling for it anymore, which that's good. It's good to be trending in that direction.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. We are just past the top of the hour, guys. I will get to your calls. I have a little bit more to say on this, the white replacement thing. I was watching Modern Politics, a little bit of it last night, a show called Modern Politics that presents news that I haven't seen before. But let's listen to more Vollmar, guys, as in Justin Vollmar. He goes by Vollmar in this second album that I'm going to play from you. This is from 2004, the album 13 or So People Who Need Chances. And it's out on Blue Sanct Records, or whatever you want to call it. Blue Sanct. All one word. Capital S, though, in the middle of the word. And I'm going to play the first two tracks of it. The first one is Who Have You Never Spoken With? Spilled Upon the Ground, which is maybe a little, I'll leave that alone. And the second track is Dove for Sale. I hope you enjoy it, guys. Angela, I know you want me to only play, shout out to the Facebook crew. I know you only want me to play one track per break, but I'm not listening to you, at least not today. Actually, not all this week, probably, because I want to get through this album. It's a cool album. Anyway, guys, I think this is Christian. This guy is a Christian, and it's kind of referencing, actually, a biblical passage. But anyway, I think it is even child-friendly. It's a Christian guy, Justin Vollmar. Vollmar. 13 or so people who need chances. Enjoy. And it's nice and soft. And I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2. Hang tight.
I've been looking for my lover, but there is no one I'm in love with, and there's someone in my corner who I've never even spoken with. There is a light, son, look around, you've got to wake up, look around. Since it's hard to find a lover and there's no one I'm in love with, I'll go digging in my closet for the ones I've never spoken with. There is a light, son, look around. This isn't right, what have you found? You've got to wake up, look around, you've got to think of what you've found. Now here without a lover, in the pits I chose to dwell, and I've got them in my bowels, the ones I wouldn't ever fall in love with. And now there is no light, son, look around. This isn't right, what have you found? What have you spilled upon the ground? Oh, you've got to wake up, look around, you've got to think of what you've found. What have you spilled upon the ground? Who have you spilled upon the ground? Pardon me, sir, would you like a dove? Winter's not as lonely with a dove. Pure as gold, sure as it can fly. You'll agree, I think you'll be the kind.
Isn't this nice, guys?
Well now, son, your offer seems just fine. Such a bird would surely treat me right. But in a cage so stiff and cold, could any bird not turn to stone? Answer, do you think it still could love?
Does Hake expect us to like this music? It's nice and soft, though.
No strings are attached, the price is fair. No cage will be needed, I can swear. Loyal, true, sure to stay with you. You'll agree, I promise to be fair.
So cool.
Well then, son, your offer suits me fine.
Soy-based music.
This here dove will surely treat me right. For all I need is something live, loyal to me through all time. I will love it, true and kind. Feed it with these hands of mine. Pure as gold, sure as I'm alive. Thank you, son, you've truly been so kind.
Open mic at Starbucks, anyone? Terrible. Is this Jack Johnson? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I do. Why does Hake like this stuff? He's laughing. Hake's his own man. You got to deal with it. Yeah, I dance to my own music. That's my answer to JLP's biblical question. It just sounds cheap. I don't know, man. Never commit suicide. Don't do it. Absolute death. Do not. Pull the plug, Chris. Stand TJ. Hake thinks all women who dislike his music are evil. True, Chris. What's up, Chris? And AZ. Somebody was saying Sufjan Stevens. Somebody was comparing it to Juno. Somebody said Juno. which I never saw. Napoleon Dynamite music. Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan of that Precious stuff, but I don't know. I like Justin Vollmar still. I like Vollmar. He does sound feminine according to JJ Money. I know. I understand your concern. Probably a liberal, but I like his melodies. Anyway, thank you guys for bearing with me. I have some super chats to read and some calls to get to and some comments to share and other perhaps stories to talk about. But over there on Odyssey, Shaggy Boy says, black people give me unseasoned French fries all the time. Blacks. Man, where are you from, Shaggy Boy? What a terrible way to live. Shaggy Boy tried to fast forward. Didn't work. I don't want to listen to a not morally straight singer talk about what's in his bowels. No. Anyway. It's old school talk. Kind of like a Bible times talk. In the Old Testament, there was a man who refused to give his late brother's widow a child after the late brother did not give the widow a child, and he spilled on the ground, and God killed him for it. If you follow my drift, I want to keep it child-friendly. But God killed him for it, according to the Old Testament. That's what I'm picturing when he's talking about that. And I think that he's talking about, basically the evil, pornography, basically. That's what I think that he's talking about. So he's not being he's trying to be morally straight, but yeah, I get it with his Simon and Garfunkel wannabe. Yes, Shaggy Boy, that's what it reminded me of too. Yeah, the guy sounded kind of like Simon and Garfunkel, who probably, I don't think they were Christians, and they didn't get along either. Anyway, yes, Tim Scott, the real Tim Scott. Oh, man. I don't know how God killed him, but he killed him. I remember reading it in the Bible. I have read the Bible. Not good to be sneaky, evil, selfish. Wait 1 second. What verse is that story in? You mean book? It's in, Genesis, I want to say. I think it was in Genesis. It was in the early days. Okay. Let me get to a call or two, guys. Thomas in Oklahoma is on the line. Thomas, thank you for calling and holding. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well, Hake. How are you doing?
Doing fine. I appreciate it.
A rainy day here in Oklahoma, so I'm off work. I usually drive an ice cream truck.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, sir. So
there's an ice cream. There's an ice cream. That reminds me, there's an ice cream man in the movie, in the song called Blew Up the Clinic Real Good. And this ice cream man did not want the kitties to go away, so he blew up a abortion clinic so that they couldn't kill the kitties.
That's a song?
Yeah, it's a song from a Christian singer named Steve Taylor.
Is that the one you just played?
No. It's a rockin' Christian song. Blew up the clinic real good.
Have you heard the new Tyson James Roe v. Wade song?
I have not. That's a white Christian conservative rapper,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Is Tyson James one of the guys who shares Jesse Beta type stuff? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He uses a lot of kind of Jesse's lingo.
Nice.
In his stuff. Anyways, it's good to talk to you, Hake. I just wanted to say, it's been a while. I don't know if you remember me. I've called in, before, but it's been a long time because I've had, more 9-to-5 jobs, so I couldn't really call in.
Right on. I respect it, and I understand. Cool.
I got a couple things on the list. I know I called in about is America at the point of no return, but I wanted to comment on the Amber Heard thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
Everyone's saying it's a win for men, right?
Yeah. Chris and I kind of did. Yeah.
I don't really believe that. It somewhat is, but you have to realize Johnny Depp has tons of money. If a regular guy who would go through the same thing would not be able to defend himself.
Oh, and you know what? I don't even know if Johnny Depp is going to win this $50 million lawsuit defamation lawsuit against
Well,
Amber
she needs
Heard.
to go to prison. I don't even
think
think
so?
I don't even think it should be a defamation thing. She needs to go to prison
For what?
for lying.
Oh, wow, dang. That's what
Yeah.
they're trying to say about Tucker Carlson. So
No.
what was her lie? What was her lie? Because I didn't really keep. I know that she's a phony. I know that she roundabout, underhandedly accused Johnny without coming out and saying his name.
About his abuse. You
Okay.
know, I mean, she blamed him. I've gone through this personally, and I don't want to spill all the beans.
Right.
But I had a roommate who was female, who was a hardcore alcoholic.
Yikes.
And she was also epileptic. And
Wow.
she would go crazy and flip out on me at random times. I did tons of work over there, construction stuff, and helped out. But anyway, she had assaulted me multiple times. I'd had to call the police multiple times, and they showed up. They had a whole record of everything.
Was
And
this
then,
a girlfriend who became a roommate, or what was the? If you don't mind my asking.
No. It was just a roommate.
Okay. Meaning meaning an apartment mate, separate bedrooms.
Right. Platonic.
Right.
Anyways, so it came to the third. I think it was like the third time or fourth time she assaulted me. I hit back once.
Ooh.
You know. And she called the police, and then I was moved. I basically had moved out at that point because it was starting to get crazy.
Yeah.
And the police showed up. I went to court, and I talked to the judge, and she had a detective who was the neighbor there, who I got them to be friends. She was supposed to be Christian. My roommate was an atheist, and this detective lady lied on the stand.
Wait, who is supposed to be a Christian? The female detective?
Yes.
Okay, and your roommate was an atheist.
Right.
And the female
and
Christian
the roommate was the
detective.
abusive one.
Yeah, and the female Christian detective lied on the stand against you?
Yeah, she said we had to call the police multiple times on him before.
Oh,
for,
man.
And I was like, Your Honor, that's a lie. You know, as a female judge, everybody who was on this it was like civil court, so it was like a small jury thing. They were all females. I mean, everybody.
Whew.
And so she lies to the judge, and I say, Judge, you know, that's wrong. You can look at the police records. I'm the one who called. You know, there's reports of it. I have a picture of me with a fat lip, you know, where she busted my lip once. And it didn't even matter. And I had her on video, too, on my phone of her freaking out, breaking down my door, you know, yelling, calling me, you know, loser or effing whatever.
Right.
And so the judge, you know, and the judge was like, all right, I don't need to see any more video. And so I thought she was going to take my side. And then she just turned around and took her side. And I had a phone, too, that I was letting her use. And I had two phones. And then so I got her to admit that she had my phone. And the judge still let her keep my phone because she said I didn't need two phones. And I was like, she was like, why do you need your phone back? I was like, because it's my phone. So the whole system, I'm just saying for guys out there.
I mean, you're a sucker, though. You kind of get what you deserve.
What do you mean?
You're a sucker for moving in with a crazy woman.
Yeah.
And giving her your phone and all that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Although it's wrong, if your story is true, you brought this on yourself.
But anyways, I'm going to wrap that story up.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of advice for guys out there. You know, you can hope if you have a lot of money, you can pay a lawyer and maybe fight your case. But for the most part, you're going to lose against women.
I have a super chat from Asmodor. This guy is missing the forest for the trees. It's a win for men because it raises awareness of how women are, how the courts side with women, and people are siding with Depp. Change happens slowly in increments.
Maybe, but I think it does have a little bit of an effect. But I think most people who are getting that lesson from this already know it. You know, I think most people who don't believe, you know, really realize the attack on men aren't going to think about it in that way. But the other thing I want to say is, and this is the most important part, is they said white people can't season food. I'm a chef.
Nice.
I cooked a meal for my whole family the other night, and it was like people were saying it was some of the best stuff they ever had. Anyways, a whole bunch of tacos, fish and chicken tacos, refried beans, and rice and coleslaw. Anyways,
nice.
So if they want to say white people can't season food, then why are the top chefs in the world all white? They're European, they're Swedish, they're French, British. All the top chefs who make the best food are white. So I don't know why they keep saying white people can't season food.
Interesting point, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And the last question I had for you is America at the point of no return?
I don't know. There is individuals within America can repent. And there are individuals in America repenting. And they are not past the point of no return. Maybe there are many who are, and we're getting flooded, and we've been flooded for decades with people who do not have our values, have real American values, and then the children are not raised properly, and so it looks like a losing battle, but I would never say never, and it's not ours to say, honestly. It's not for us to say that America is over. It's for us to stand up for what's right and have faith in God that this is what we're supposed to do, and we're going to keep doing it, whatever the outcome. We're not so results-based that we give up when it looks like the results can't go in our favor.
Right. I know we shouldn't give up or give up hope, but I don't know. The pastor of my church ran for office, and he just talked about how he says even the Republicans, and this is Oklahoma, he said even the conservatives are selling you down the river, the so-called conservatives, Republicans.
Very true. I appreciate it, Thomas. Level. It's good to hear from you, man. Do call me again when you have the chance. Hake. Do call me again on a rainy day.
All right, I will.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Okay. Before I get back to calls, I want to talk a little bit more about this great replacement thing. The guy mentioned about seasoning food and all that mess, and he's talking about, there's a lot of anxiety in America, and they want to scapegoat people. But he didn't use the term scapegoat. I learned the word scapegoat, I feel like I might have been in high school or maybe before that, because the Nazis scapegoated the Jews because there was a lot of anxiety in Germany. And so they scapegoated the Jews because the Jews were, I guess, successful, and so the whites were just jealous of it, the Jews, and we scapegoated them, we being the Germans. I don't know, I have a little bit of German in me, right? And they would call me a Nazi, right? But no, I'm an American. And they said fear-mongering, they being this Business Insider Yahoo thing, Yahoo News video by that light-skinned black guy smearing Fox News using Media Matters. But they're the ones scapegoating the whites. They're saying white supremacy, this fear-mongering. And they're claiming that it's a conspiracy theory. No, it was done kind of in open. There were lies. There were lies saying that the 1965 Immigration Act would not change the demographics. Didn't Ted Kennedy or Robert Kennedy or one of those Kennedys, I mentioned this last time and one of you guys corrected me, said, oh, it's not going to change stuff. So there were lies, but it wasn't really done in Ted Kennedy, I guess. Yeah. It wasn't done in secret exactly. It was kind of done against the will of the people. And against the will of the people, they're never closing the border. Seemingly the people want the border closed, but the commie capitalists don't want to. Commie capitalists meaning rhinos and Democrats. And rhinos are aplenty. Weakness, cowardice, corruption. It's so wrong. So we're just accusing each other of fear-mongering. Remember that Trump tweet, by the way? The guy brought up the South Africa. He brought up Trump's tweet in 2017, I think it was, talking about, I am directing my Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, to look into what's going on in South Africa with the farm murders and the land expropriation without compensation, taking away the whites' farms, taking away the whites' land. The native whites, by the way, they're native. They're the founders of that country. The Afrikaners, the Boers. And they're the most hated. And farm murders are at a 19-year low because there's so few farmers left to murder. I think, that's my speculation. They said farm murders are, BBC, and that guy loves, never mind, I don't want to say, I saw that in the chat, it made me chuckle, but anyway. BBC, the far-left British outlet that also hates white people in UK, also hates truth. Where was Pompeo on what's going on? Where was Pompeo? And those are like torture murders, what they're doing to the farmers. Yeah, murders are through the roof in South Africa. Black on black and black on white and black on colored, and maybe colored are doing it too a little bit. Colored being the mixed people in South Africa. But the whites are like a declining population through murders, through like escaping, they're becoming refugees. Did Mike Pompeo, the supposed Christian Mike Pompeo, actually look into that? Or was Trump just hoping that he would do it? And he never did it. I'm chuckling at a super chat that I see. Shall I read this? Shall I share what's so funny with the audience? Brandon M. says, blacks put ketchup on steak. That they should be sent back to Africa sheerly on that. Yeah, Pompeo, a snake in the grass. Let me share this. Before I get back to calls, I just want to finish off this little point on the white replacement theory mess. White replacement theory. I never said it until, I never used that term until like the so-called mainstream media talked about it. But you guys remember Tim Wise? Maybe some of you don't. There's this guy named Tim Wise. Has he been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show? If it was before I was producer. I heard about him because he's this Jewish guy, Jewish white guy, who put out this book called White Like Me, or something like that. And he's kind of fallen in terms of being his popularity, because he's been replaced. He's been white replaced by the POCs. I remember this Asian girl called Not Your Asian Sidekick on Twitter. She went viral on Twitter, and then she went into hiding because, you know, she couldn't deal with the public scrutiny, I guess, or threats or something like that. But this nasty liberal Asian female who said, I'm not your Asian sidekick. I remember her going after Tim Wise because Tim Wise was disagreeing with her. Tim Wise is this Jewish guy, anti-racist, hates JLP. Here he is at Politicon. I didn't realize he was this fat. I don't think he used to be this fat. Doesn't he look kind of fat? Not the fattest of fat, but he is. Just a side note. But he's at Politicon, the political organization. Looks like a regular white guy. But no, he is indeed Jewish. So when you attack him, he accuses you of anti-Semitism. Anyway, he put out these tweets on the Buffalo shooter and the fake thing of anti-racism. And I got it from the news and commentary outlet called Modern Politics, with this guy Warren Balog, whose stuff I've played before. I played clips of who's that lady who died? She was Bill Clinton's Secretary of State. Just this Jewish lady who just looks like a witch. She looks like George Soros, but she's a woman. I'm blanking on her name. People in the chat, you guys will know. I'll mention it later. But anyway, I came across this guy from my former de facto producer, Dylon. And they shared, he and his co-host shared these tweets from this guy, Tim Wise, a blue check mark on Twitter. I thought that Tim Jacob Wise, by the way, he's not a Christian. He's very unchristian. And he described him as Warren Balog described this Tim Wise guy, yeah, Wise guy is right, as He didn't use the word vicious, vitriolic. Vitriolic. Okay, so listen to this bunch of tweets. The Buffalo Shooters Manifesto rants about immigration and white birth rates, both of which feature prominently in mainstream conservative and MAGA, Make America Great Again, pro-Trump, rhetoric. And he embraces an explicitly accelerationist rationale. Accelerationist means let's start a race war to wake the whites up to the attack on them so that they wake up and then fight and then maybe they'll win. That's what accelerationism is, I think. Accelerationist rationale for violence, hoping to cause further strife and societal collapse. Tim Wise goes on, those who spread these ideas are to blame, not just the ones who pull the trigger. I say that's false. I say that's false. I mean, you blame the people who are lying, and you blame the people who are pushing anger, but you don't blame the people who tell the truth, and then somebody acts out erratically in overreaction to the truth. So, Tim Wise, I disagree with you there. Tim Wise goes on, there is nowhere else replacement theory, rhetoric, and logic can lead to except for violence. It is inevitable. Interesting. He says, once you accept the notion that white people are being genocided, white genocide, talking about white genocide, by immigration, demographic replacement, etc., violence becomes the logical, awful endpoint. Is that so, Tim Wise? Is that so? He says, it's not like a simple disagreement over proper immigration policy or taxes or policing or schools. It's existential to these, cover your eyes, kids, racist A-word, bleep, holes. They believe they are from some special genetic stock despite their own utter failures as human beings. And as such, they must defend the race from extinction. There is no way for that rhetoric to end but with violence. So he says, okay? So that was from Tim Wise. But the lady co-host on this Modern Politics points out that another quote purportedly from Tim Wise, and I believe that it is from Tim Wise. They don't put out false info that I know of. Special genetic stock. And, you know, these people have said that it happens, that it's going to happen. Sleazy Joe Biden himself has said, an unrelenting stream of immigration. White European stock like me will become an absolute minority. And it's not a bad thing. It's a source of our strength. That's sleazy Joe Biden. Something to that effect back in 2014 or something like that. Talking to, I forget where, the UN or some trashy, around a table, with a bunch of other people kissing up. So he himself has said it. That we're going to be an absolute minority. And that's a source of our strength. Anyway, Tim Wise himself has said this very thing. This is a quote purportedly from Tim Wise, according to Modern Politics. In the pantheon of American history, conservative old white people have pretty much always been the bad guys, the keepers of hegemonic and reactionary flame, the folks unwilling to share the category of American with others, on equal terms. Fine, keep it up. It doesn't matter because you're on the endangered list. Wow, conservative old white people are on the endangered list? And unlike, say, the bald eagle or some exotic species of muskrat, you're not worth saving, conservative old white people. In 40 years or so, maybe fewer, there won't be any more white people around who actually remember the Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, Opie Taylor down at the fishing hole, corn pone. Oh, sorry, kids, cover your ears, cover your eyes. BS. And he doesn't mean the bogus speech word. He actually said the bad word. That you hold so near and dear to your heart. Man, Modern Politics is real news. That is vitriol, right? Looking down on wholesome old white stuff. Anyway, there won't be any more white folks around who think the 1950s were the good old days because there won't be any more white folks around who actually remember them. And it was pointed out by the lady who you can vaguely see in the background. So that's Tim Wise repeating that whites are not going to be around. The old school decent whites who have some sense and decency and remember a different way of being will not be around. Isn't that interesting? So is he responsible? The mainstream media, article after article, headline after headline, they've been talking about you're being replaced. We can replace them. Whites are going to be the minority and stuff like that. I think white children under 18 now probably are already a minority in the country compared to their other, their people in their age group. If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Shout out to Wally Cleaver, says Tyler. Whoever that is. I'm one of those one of those getting older whites, but I never remembered that much of Leave It to Beaver or whatever. But that's, is Tim Wise responsible for this? And I say yes. I say the mainstream media is responsible for the radicalization and the feeding of anger of both whites and blacks against each other, and causing whites to get mad at the Jews and everything, and making the Jews get mad at the whites. There was a headline that I saw on TKR Official on Telegram of let me just show this briefly of this. There's this Jewish lady who was spray painting. She spray painted a swastika on this sign that talked about New York Daily News. Jewish woman busted for scrawling swastikas in Brooklyn's Borough Park. It's an article by Noah Goldberg. Also probably not a Christian, but he's putting out the truth. And it was a New York Daily News article, May 20th. And I don't have the video, but I guess some security camera video footage catches this. It's a Jewish lady, and you can see in this, anyway, she's spray paints a swastika. And she did it multiple times, apparently. It's the symbol of peace, right? The hooked cross, the Hakenkreuz. Did you show the one where it's did I include the one where it's end, okay. JewBelong.com, hashtag end Jew hate. We are 75 years since the gas chambers, so no, a billboard calling out Jew hate isn't an overreaction, and it has a swastika painted over it. And I think purportedly that may be one of the ones that was, that she did. I don't know if it's, or maybe it's just an example. But so frequently, women, Jewish people, gays, blacks, black college students, those educated blacks. Education is the solution. Blacks will spray paint the N-word on dormitory walls or bathroom walls, and then they'll do this march and say, "Oh, we need to stop the racism," and then in fact it was a black or a Jew or a gay or whatever. There was this radical homosexual organist for a church who spray painted swastikas on his own church building, radical homosexual friendly church building, after Trump got elected or after he was inaugurated or something like that. Whole bunch of fake hate crimes. It's partly why I say that these hate crimes legislation should be abolished, because it only encourages these evil people to do this defamation of whites by faking hate crimes. So wrong. Taking a gulp of water. Sorry, guys. Not sorry, but forgive me. Maybe I shouldn't do it like that. Let me go back to that Tim Wise folder. There was a couple of Time magazine covers that those guys showed in that news story. Look at these Time magazine it's not a news. Time magazine covers. Time magazine special issue from 1993. Take a good look at this woman, reads this, the cover of this Time issue from 1993. She was created by a computer from a mix of several races. What you see is a remarkable preview of the new face of America, how immigrants are shaping the world's first multicultural society. Look at that. And it looks like Meghan Markle or something like that. Doesn't it look like maybe not exactly Meghan Markle. It looks like Cortez, Sandy Cortez, except lighter and less horsey-faced. But she's pretty. Pretty evil. Look at that. And then it's a non-white. It's a mixed person. Oh yes, mixed people. That's a good idea. And then Time Magazine 2012. This is outrageous. This is before I was producer. Yeah, coffee. This is before I was producer for the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Time Magazine from 2012. We Are Americans. And it has pictures of purportedly a bunch of illegals, including this, I think he's a Filipino illegal named, I'm blanking on his name. But he's the guy who's founded Shameless Illegal Alien. He's founded this organization called Define American. And this Time Magazine cover says, "We are Americans, asterisk." And the asterisk below describes, "Just not legally. We're some of the nearly 12 million undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. Why we're done hiding." By Jose, here's the guy's name. Jose Antonio Vargas. Which is not Mexican, it's a Filipino name. Filipinos are the Asian Mexicans. The Spanish went into the Philippines. This guy is a shameless illegal alien and a radical homosexual. And was writing, was he one of the guys who was writing for Washington Compost and then he came out of the closet as an illegal? Maybe there's a different story. But these people are in your face, shameless, evil, trying to subvert the notion of American. I used to have one friend who said that before the fall of Rome, the Romans lost track of what it meant to be Roman. Isn't that sort of what's happening to America? Losing track of what it means to be American. Americans used to be Anglos. And they had American values, high trust society, freedom, morality, Christianity, or at least respect for Christianity. Whites of good character. Men running the show. Dream Act babies, says Tim Scott. Yeah. I am shaking my head. It's so sick. So thank you for the real news from Modern Politics, and also from Yahoo News and Commie Nonsense Network and Fox News. Man, anyway, I have to get to William in California. He's on the line, wants to talk about my guests from last week. William in California, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good morning. How was your weekend, man?
It was great. It was
good.
Restful, but I exercised and I taking it kind of slow, but I did a little twinge on my back when I was moving my laptop from one side to the other, and what a mess. But anyway.
Right. On the subject about the country getting browned, is a myth because it's far-fetched because there's 78.3% of this country is white.
Yeah, but it's not normal white. Those aren't white.
Let me get to that part.
All right.
Then only 13.4 is black. Now, you take that 0.3 off the whites, that makes them 70%, because that would definitely say 6.3% of the whites are Sims. And then you got the blacks, that you take that makes them 10% population because they got a lot of gays. So if you add those two, that's 6.3 plus that 3.4, that's a little close to what the gay population is, which is around between 9 and 11%.
Really? That's terrible.
And, yeah.
That's horrifying.
And,
it used to be like
enough,
less than 5.
But it's just...
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's not enough of these people to really take over like they think they are. And anybody that thinks that this country is getting browned, you got a long way to go. And as far as the good old boys, hey, the real white people that stand up and they're stand-up people, there's more of them than there are the ones that don't.
Well, then why are we electing these rhino simps and Democrat evil people? We keep on electing them. I say we, and it kind of includes me.
Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, what these politicians end up doing, James, they'll promise, especially in the black community, they'll promise them the world during elections, and especially with the Democratic Party, they'll promise them the world, but when they get in office, they do not receive anything. So that's a power grab. You know, those jobs, being a senator and a congressman, those are pretty high-paying jobs. So these people are trying their best to stay in power. They'll promise you the world to get in.
Yeah, that's true. But we shouldn't be.
What I'm saying.
I think that we elect people who are maybe the worst among us, but we elect people who do represent us. And if we're complaining about a lot of weak politicians, we need to look at ourselves, because we ourselves
look at ourselves and how we vote. That's correct.
You know, and we ourselves are. It's not just how we vote; it's how we live our lives, how we are. If you look at your own life, you make compromises, and you're every bit as weak as most of us, as the phony politicians.
I know this for a fact, because there's like almost 300,000 veterans that are not in the military anymore. Most of those people don't believe in that crap. You know, they serve.
I know. I understand.
For the most part. Most part, you got some woke people in the military too, but for the most part, most people have common sense.
I have a super chat. I have a super chat on the census.
Sure, go ahead.
Asmodor in Odyssey says, per the U.S. Census. As of 2020, white people, including Hispanic whites, numbered 204,277,273, or 61.6% of the population. Wow.
Out of 400 million.
And he says non-Latino whites make up
Get them, Asmodor.
about 57.8% of the country's population.
Right. Each group has a bunch of retards, though. You got to consider that.
Yeah.
And blacks. Jesse,
I disavow that use of the word retard. That's hate speech.
What is that? Black women in America is 38% gay.
Really?
What, Jesse looked that up, and you brought that up, and I checked that, and that's accurate. About 38%. Yeah.
Of what age group?
Oh, the ones that are having kids and that are supposed to be mothers. I'm not talking about the women that are 80. No, I'm talking about the ones that are raising those bad kids. Yeah,
Nick
single-family homes.
Nick says 23% of young black women, identify as bisexual, so-called bisexual. Wow.
And then straight gay, it jumps up a little bit. Yeah. So that 38 might be just right there. It's right there, you know. But the browning of America, I don't know why they believe that so badly. I don't know. I mean, and the guys that I looked at one of your old debates. I don't know how old it was. I looked at the whole thing. It was good. It was with T-Drop.
T-Jump?
And another little weirdo, and then you got the little hippie dude on the end. And it was really hilarious how every time you dropped some facts, they got to playing with their ink pens and jotting things down.
Oh yeah, that was the in-person modern day debate appearances that I did in Dallas.
It was pretty good. You did a good job. And the one on the end, I noticed he said something about well, what about housing for the LBGs? What about it?
Yeah.
And healthcare for the LBG. It's like, what about that? It's called you have a doctor. Just like James has a doctor and William has a doctor, you get a doctor. Now, if you're talking about a doctor to change your penis to a vagina,
yikes.
No, we should not pay for that.
Right, obviously.
And you don't get that. And you definitely don't need to be getting in the military for that to pay for it, because that's what they're actually doing. They go into the military to get the taxpayer to pay for their sex change, and they're on the bunk for about 8 months, not even doing anything to recover.
Man, that's terrible.
So, no, that's not fair. T-Drop, was it T-Jump?
T-Jump.
Yeah, T-Jump. I can't wait till both of them come back on your show, because I got 3 or 4 questions apiece for them. Because, there's other countries that just, even with our troubles, are not doing as well as this country. So you guys can go ahead and move over there to those countries. Like we were talking about, putting a 3rd bathroom in the schools. If you look at these schools across the country from the East Coast to the West Coast, they have some beautiful historical buildings. And if he knew anything and stopped being a simp, you would know that retrofitting is more expensive than building something brand new. And these are mostly historical buildings. So my question is, who's going to pay for this third bathroom? That's a lot of bathrooms and a lot of taxpayer money.
I appreciate it, William, man.
And PG&E. PG&E, you know, they had a town that almost half of it blew up 10 years ago. So they got a lot of financial problems, and then the fires.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's like it's one company running all of our power in California. You go to Texas, they got several companies. Now, you remember the part that Trump said, hey, if you get several health care plans and companies and, you know, medication companies, all that stuff, you get more competition. That's capitalism.
Right.
That drops the price. And that goes the same with the power companies. California just has one. Texas, you go down there, you got 5 or 6. And, you know, that drops the price and everything. But I want to thank Blazing Hogs and Red Dirt Farm for helping me with my little thing. And they're really nice people, the good old boys.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as white supremacy because there is nobody white that is supreme to me. And T-Jump, you look like a young Joe Biden. It's scary.
Thanks, William.
But
gotta go. Take care, man. All right.
All right.
Oh, man. Justin in Fullerton, California is on the line here. Justin, what's up?
Hey, James, how was your weekend?
It was great. Thank you.
I did a little bit of dodgeball at 44, and I feel great, but my beta back paid the price.
Yeah.
But I also caught a good movie called 2000 Mules, and it's pretty interesting. Have you got a chance to check it out?
I still haven't checked it out. I took my whole Saturday off. I did not watch much of anything. So
okay, well that's your time. But a paid political operative is basically what a mule is, and not to give it too much spoiler of alert, but it shows that it's the mule is hired by like the left wing organizations to do something, and they're going to deliver like they're to deliver and to mail in these drop boxes voters ballots.
Right.
So yeah, pretty real. They're trying already to say it's misinformation. I don't know if it's that ministry they created a couple weeks ago, but it's a real fact. And Dinesh, I think, was actually in political prison before with Obama. It's a great payback. So
okay,
definitely a good one to watch.
Thank you for the tip, man.
And here's the reason why. Just wanted to tell you, because of geo-tracking. So if everybody's out there that has a cell phone, it might be good to keep, but they might have been smarter if they would have turned it off, because that's how they're actually caught.
Turned off location services or whatever, something like that?
Sensors, yeah, sensors. So there's developer settings. You just go watch a YouTube video, and it'll tell you which one to turn off.
Okay.
And, but the thing is, a lot of people are being watched, and now it's going to be to our advantage. I think it'll be interesting to see the future, how people might learn how to turn that off because they don't want to be tracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Justin.
Okay.
It's good to hear from you, man. Take care.
Yeah, good to hear from you. And, fake news is the origin of the monkeypox. That's not true.
It's not from Africa, and it's not from monkeys?
The origin of the monkeypox outbreak is you got to look up the Wuhan lab and the virology department there and what they did to create what we now call the monkeypox. I guess we have our first cases here.
Oh. It goes back to Wuhan, too, according to you, huh? Okay. I appreciate
There's
it, man.
a name for the virus. Yeah, research that. All right, see ya. See you later.
See ya. Quickly, Tony in California. Just a couple of minutes left here. Tony, what's up?
Good morning, James and William. How you doing, William, out there? I got a little tidbit for William. White people are not having babies. You look across the world, they are less in population. They are the minority in the world population. And just do your math on that. William.
Are you sad about that?
I have no feeling towards that. It's God's will, okay?
Oh, you think it's God's will? So the whites are following God's will?
No, the whites are suffering from God's will because they'll be disappeared from this earth. That's what's happening. But the thing is,
you're saying whites are going extinct?
Of course they is.
Of
course they. Between the blacks and the Mexicans having babies with white, yes, y'all are disappearing, brother.
I don't know if it's the blacks having too many babies.
Hey, yes, we are, brother. And the Mexicans are having them by the
They're killing a lot of babies.
No. The white women are killing the babies. They 60%
Them too.
of the abortion situation.
It's not a good thing.
Protesting. Look who out there protesting. White women. All white women.
No, it's not all white women.
I'm calling about
those
the
aren't normal whites.
Prison. Why do Power Boys in prison snitching? Trying to get less time. They're snitching. Why is that?
I don't know that story.
I thought, yes, you do.
No,
yes,
I don't.
You know all about that, brother.
No, I don't, brother.
Hey, but the thing is, William, wake up, William. You are not white, so but you're not just me.
Do you love white people, Tony?
I love those who love me. How about that?
So then you don't love anybody.
No.
Nobody loves you.
Well, that's
and you don't love anybody.
That's your opinion. You have
no,
the right
that's
to
a
that.
fact.
But your Bible said, Luke 7:7.
JLP loves you.
Do unto others that you have them doing to you.
Why are you quoting the Bible? If you are celebrating, would you have it done unto whites that they go extinct?
Hey, it's not.
Would you have it? Would you have it done unto you that you go extinct? No, Tony. You identify with the blacks, right? Would you have it done unto blacks? Would you have it done unto blacks that? Hold on, Tony, I'm talking to you. Would you have it done to the blacks that they go extinct?
For what? No. Why?
Why are you celebrating that it happens to the whites?
I'm not celebrating nothing.
Yeah. You're pretending that it's God's will. You pretend to know God. Do you know? How do you say that you know God?
The same way you and Justice say y'all know Him.
You don't know God the way that JLP knows God.
You're not for. The world.
So you believe? Did you go and forgive your mother and you pray every day? That's how you know God?
Man, come on, go ahead with that BS.
No. You said you know God the same way Jesse knows God.
No, I didn't.
You did. I said, how do you know that you know God?
I don't use Jesse's name in my prayer. Like you try to tell everybody, have you prayed my?
Then you're admitting that you lied. You don't know God at all.
I know my God. I don't know about yours, but I know mine.
Oh, so you have your own God?
Well, we all do, because God is in each and every one of us individually. Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know that?
You sound like a liberal. You sound like Oprah.
Well, you
sound like a liberal woman.
That's your opinion.
With your feel good, let's celebrate the destruction of the whites mindset.
Everyone got one, okay? But the thing is,
no, not true. Everybody does not have God. Tony, I gotta go, man. We're overtime. Take care.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You as well. Guys, we are past the end of we're past where I'm supposed to end. Let me just read a super chat real quick before we close. John WX25 says on Streamlabs, yet there is resistance to dividing America in two for the trash on one side and law-abiding people on the other. The trash doesn't want to be united with me, and I don't want them either. Jesus came to divide evil from good, right? That is true. Thank you, guys. This has been the Hake Report. I will hopefully catch you tomorrow, and I'll give you some announcements on my upcoming appearances. I think you will like them. Thank you, and take care. Adios.